What's up, Bull fans? This is Ricky running back Joshua Kelly. I'm here on behalf of the Chargers Brawl podcast. I just got to say, man, you got to check them boys out. They're providing you all the best Charger content and NFL content. They're the best podcast station out here in the city. So check them out, man. I'm excited. Let's get it. Chargers Brawl podcast. Remember that.
Cause we gotta know, how can we stop it when you have none? So just remember the kids are back. The kids are back. Oh, watch out, the kids are back. So just remember the kids are back. The kids are back. Oh, watch out, the kids are back. The kids are back.
Ladies and gentlemen, lock the doors, put the children to bed, and throw away the remote, because this is the Chargers Brawl podcast. Jake Effner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the Brawl Network on a Monday evening where that oh-so-familiar feeling has reared its ugly head once more. Perhaps there is no better quote in history to sum up Chargers fans' feelings than from the great Paul Simon, who once said, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I have come to talk with you again." Stein, my friend. It is not the Victory Monday that you predicted last week. It is, in fact, a quite different feeling. Let me hear it.
Hello, Jake, my old friend. This may be the toughest episode that we will record all season for me, because I am doing my best to constrain myself, to keep myself from blowing a gasket, and to allow the grieving process to take form. Last night and yesterday, I drank my way through wine country for a bit. I let out a lot of screeches, and I woke up today with a little bit more of an optimistic outlook for about 10 seconds.
10.
And then I am brought right back to the shit show that we had to watch yesterday morning. The level of ridiculousness, of ridicule, of embarrassment, of national spotlight that has been shown on the ineptitude of this team as a whole is remarkable. I have been a Chargers fan for over 20 years now. This may be the most embarrassing point of a season that I can remember. And Jake, we should be talking about a Victory Monday right now, given how admirable our defense actually played in that fourth quarter and in the second half, comparably speaking. But I have never seen a debacle of coaching that bad to where I genuinely felt bad for the players. I felt bad for them because they were led into a buzzsaw that was their own coaching staff that kept them from succeeding. I think that's about as tame as I can be as we start off this episode. But I don't think, nor can I promise, that I'm going to be able to contain my feelings and emotions. So just forewarning, Chargers fans, you may not be hearing optimistic Dan today, but I am going to do my best to keep my chin up
Dan, I feel for you, sir, because I know how much you enjoy being optimistic about this team. And this is what makes our relationship so great, is because we truly do have that different points of view, dichotomy of one another to talk about in regards to this team. But you and I have both talked ad nauseum about the coaching of this team. And unfortunately, we're not just talking about one coach. We're talking about them all. We have talked about them on numerous occasions when we've covered good, bad, and the ugly, what have you, ad nauseum. I'm sick and tired of talking about bad and poor coaching decisions as it relates to this team. But there was Jeff Daniels said one time in Dumb and Dumber, just when you possibly think you couldn't get any dumber, you go and do something like this. Just when you think the coaching of the Chargers in situational football, in almost scenarios that are playbook fundamental, football 101, Anthony Lynn delivered his crescendo of one of the most poorest coaching examples that I have ever seen as a fan of watching football. And the crazy part about it is that in about a minute's worth of time, 3 or 4 of those poor coaching decisions were just in a minute of time.
In a row.
Consecutively.
They're going to run the play, and straight ahead is Eckler.
Why would you run the ball there when you've got no timeouts left? You've got to throw the football in that situation. Sometimes I just don't understand what the Chargers are doing.
Throwing the pass this side incomplete, or at least spike the ball to stop the clock, Rich.
You got to throw the ball there, Greg. You cannot run the football with no timeouts left.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 90. At the distance to the goal line, first down.
Boy, the clock mismanagement today from the Chargers has been stunning.
Herbert throws it this side incomplete. And right now,
I have no idea. You run the field goal unit on, you pull them off. I mean, it's just a comedy of errors. You wonder why they lose a lot of close games, Greg. It's just 20 games have been decided by one score since the start of last season. It's tied with Chicago for the most, and in those games are just 4 and 16. It's a shame because this is a talented roster that's too good to be 3 and 8 after this one.
second and goal. Herbert
decided to sneak it in.
And it didn't work. This game is over.
He made a number of different other coaching mistakes throughout the game. We'll obviously talk about that. But in a single minute, to watch what transpires in this team with this offense moving down the field, the indecisiveness of Anthony Lynn to not only when you get it down inside the 5, you attempt to run the ball with no timeouts, if that wasn't egregious enough.
What?
You then, Justin Herbert tries to make a pass, it goes incomplete, the clock stops. Then you trot your field goal unit out there. Of course, you're down 10 points, so you need some points to score. You'll basically need a miracle to win. So you trot your field goal unit out there, and then you trot him back. Then you bring him back to the sideline. Then you trot your offense back out there. No, let's go. Let's try another one. And then of all things, you try a quarterback sneak, which just looking at it in replay, Anthony Lynn said later that was a miscommunication. I don't know about that. From who? It was either a miscommunication to your quarterback, which still falls on you, because all 5 of the offensive linemen are dropping back into pass protection while your quarterback essentially is trying to go forward. That doesn't usually work. Or all 5 of your offensive linemen just completely ignored what Justin Herbert said in the huddle, which I doubt happened too.
No, apparently I did hear some rumblings that I think Anthony Lynn mentioned that there may have been like a malfunction in the headset towards the end of the game where there's a few seconds that were not. I don't care.
No.
When you are coaching an NFL team and you have 0 timeouts and you're under 1 minute, there is not a player on that field who should think that it is the right decision to run the ball. Period. End of discussion.
Austin Eckler, who ran the ball.
He was surprised.
He was even surprised that they ran the ball. He didn't expect that to happen.
The entire offensive line was surprised. Twice. I admire Anthony Lynn for trying to take the high road and shouldering the blame and just calling it a miscommunication and leave it at that. Enough.
I've never seen anything like it. And then if watching these examples weren't bad enough, to hear the commentators, to hear Rich Gannon sentence after sentence questioning, why are you running the ball there? And then to hear him you can hear him scoffing on the microphone when the field goal unit went out there and then they come back in. He's literally just being blown away by the fact that Anthony Lynn has no idea what the hell he wants to do at this point in the game.
And it was all throughout the game. It wasn't just the end of the game. I mean, we saw it at the end of the first half. We saw it throughout the first half. In the second half, we saw the end all over.
The only thing that could have made this situation worse is if the Chargers actually had an opportunity to win the game on these final plays. That's the only thing that could have made it worse. There was no way that the Chargers were winning the game in this scenario. They were down 10. So many things would have had to roll their way in order for them to even come back to tie the game. That's the only scenario I could see that it would have made this worse. If this score was 27-20 and the Chargers pulled off this scenario, the exact same thing that happened in the exact same sequence of events is the only thing that I could see that would have made this scenario any worse than it was.
Look, today, I think it's clear we're not doing good, bad, and ugly because we're just not. It's not worth it. We are going to get into some Chargers Brawl Hotline at the end of the show. But Jake, can I please, I'm begging you, can I please have 35 to 40 seconds of this episode to just get the good out of the way?
Well, considering that that's about all the good that there was. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect it for you to take you any longer than 20 seconds, but go for it.
Okay. Austin Eckler, welcome back. Thank you. Chris Harris, you looked great. Your secondary looked very good yesterday, other than one pass interference. Keenan Allen, yeah, you dropped a few. Justin Herbert, you played admirably, given the shit show that your team put you in. And probably the best performance this guy's had in his career. Joey Bosa, have a day.
Wow.
You've had a few weeks where folks have been wondering kind of what's going on. Sure, shut them up real quick. The stat line he had was ridiculous.
Absolutely nuts.
He single-handedly had more pressures, sacks, and things than most teams had last week.
Joey Bosa did in one game what a very small handful of individuals have done in one game in NFL history. And Joey Bosa did this without having his second or his third pass rushing complement on defense in Melvin Ingram and in Chetan Nwosu. And I know I said I was going to give this 30 seconds, but I just have to emphasize how good this is and how unfortunate it was all wasted away. Joey Bosa came to play yesterday. Joey Bosa may have single-handedly be the reason that the Chargers only lost by 10 points.
Jake, he had 5 quarterback hits, 1 pass deflected, 6 tackles for a loss, 7 solo tackles, 8 total, and 3 sacks. From one player. He had 6 of these 7.5 total tackles for loss yesterday.
And yet, wasted.
Okay, that's it. Full stop.
You done? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'm
Good.
done.
All right. Because from here on out, you know that this is going to be a train wreck. But deservingly so, the train wreck needs to happen. So, we're going to continue the train wreck when we come back on the Chargers Brawl podcast after these messages.
And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. Whispered sounds of silence.
Welcome back to the Chargers Brawl podcast. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the Brawl Network. Before we continue this demolition derby of feelings that Dan and I are obviously going to be expressing for the remainder of this show on the Chargers Brawl podcast, we want to remind our fans that football is here, and so is your shot to win millions. Thanks to our partnership with DraftKings, all new players can play free for millions with your first deposit. Here's how it works. Create your DraftKings DFS account and make a deposit. DraftKings will then credit your account with free entry to these contests. Draft your lineup and go for millions in these top prizes. Just go to dkng.co/brawlpod. That's dkng.co/brawlpod. Act quickly. This offer won't be around forever. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for further details. All right, Dan. Let's get back to this.
Jake, I think that ad read was easier for us. When I say us, I mean you.
Yeah.
Than having to watch what we saw on Sunday. Would you agree?
It was. It was. You want to know why? Because it was short. It was sweet. It was something that was doing good. It was something positive. All things that were not relevant in Sunday's loss against the Buffalo Bills. So I really don't know where to go from here, Dan. You know, if this was just a one-off occurrence, we would be able to, hold this off as just something to learn from, hopefully correctable mistakes. But if this was just a one-time occurrence, we would probably be also talking about the Chargers going to the playoffs. We would probably talking about the Chargers with a much better record than 3-8. The unfortunate part is this wasn't the first time this has occurred this season. I feel like Dan and I have literally been on a loop for the past 12 weeks.
It's been Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day.
And I hate talking about this, not just for the standpoint that it's a disgusting thing for Chargers fans to have to live with and endure week in and week out. I'm just tired of talking about it. And you know what it does? It makes the season longer. You know all those euphemisms when they say it's going to be a long season for the Chargers. It always just seems longer when you're losing.
It's a long plane ride home. It's a long bus ride.
So I don't know how many other ways I can say that this is no longer working. Anthony Lynn's hot seat is probably now scorched earth, really. If as bad as his coaching decisions has been 11 weeks prior, the cherry on top, the proof of the pudding, was on full display on national television for the world to see in just an embarrassing fashion.
The sun might be colder than Anthony Lynn's hot seat.
That could be a fair statement. Absolutely. Now, everybody that's out there right now clamoring, saying, when are we going to get the announcement that Anthony Lynn has been relieved of his duties? And a lot of people are saying it now. I mean, not that they haven't been saying it for weeks now, but Matt Patricia got let go 2 days after Thanksgiving. You've seen teams making changes this year, already starting to get geared up for 2021 because of poor performance. Not just in a single season, but we're talking about a full body of work for a number of consecutive years. The Matt Patricia experiment definitely didn't work in Detroit. And after 3 of the 4 years of this Chargers team being poor, the Anthony Lynn experiment isn't working either. Now, I'll say this, and I've said it numerous times. Do I think that Anthony Lynn, or any other coach for that matter, is going to be relieved of their duties before this season is over? No, I don't. For a couple reasons. One, you have an ownership that is absolutely content with what they currently have right now, and they won't do anything to pull the trigger on such a move. It literally would take something of cosmic proportions to get them to do something like that.
But Jake, what? Let's say everyone gets their wish, and we wake up tomorrow morning, and Anthony Lynn has been relieved of his duties.
Then I'll be shocked.
No, but who? But who is going to be taken over? Like, who do fans expect to come in and do better than him right now?
Yes, that's my other point. And if you relieve Anthony Lynn of his duties at this point in the season, what's really the benefit of it? You have 5 weeks left in the season. And as you said, Dan, who's going to take over on the roster?
Gus Bradley.
Oh, my God. I actually, I don't know if I want to watch a repeat of a Gus Bradley head coached team, because I saw enough of that when he was the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep, had enough of that.
You're not going to put in Shane Steichen. A lot of people would say, "Oh yeah, Pep Hamilton can definitely do it." It's not going to happen, guys. I love the creativity there, but there's nobody on this roster that's going to be able to take up that head coaching mantle with 5 weeks left in the season.
The other side of that is, does it matter?
It doesn't. That's the other thing. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So,
no, but what I mean by that is, it doesn't matter who the head coach is. So it could be Shane Steichen, it could be Pep Hamilton, it could be the water boy or gal. Like, I'm sure there is a subset of Chargers fans who right now would rather us have no coach than Anthony Lynn.
I'm sure there's a small group of that. Yeah.
You think it's small right now?
Well, no coach. Okay. Let's be real, guys. I know we're all angry, but let's be real. If Phillip Rivers was still the quarterback of this team, and you wanted to give me an analogy to say that, yes, we would rather have no head coach rather than Anthony Lynn. Okay. I may not agree with that entire analogy, but I could see it as being more plausible. Why? Because you have a veteran quarterback that at that point would have been on your team and quarterbacking this offense for the past 16 years. You're not going to do that with a rookie quarterback in less than one season. It's just not going to happen. So whether it's a small contingent or a large contingent, Dan, I get it. I think that's more anger coming out than anything. But let's keep it real here. Anthony Lynn is not losing his job at this point in the season with 5 games left to go before 2020 comes to a close.
No, I think you're right. And I think Chargers fans need to just sit and chill for a sec and just look at the options right now. We can talk about what we want to see in 2021, but there really isn't much to salvage right now with any coach that we have on this team. So putting that aside, Jake, getting into some of the specifics here. Unfortunately, I'm going to go into some of these things that I think were kind of coaching aside that I think we alluded to earlier in the episode. Jake, this was the first time in a long time where it looked like there were some plays where Justin Herbert wasn't perfect by any means. In fact, he was a little bit off at times. But his receivers and running backs catching out of the backfield let him down yesterday. Often. I can recall at least one Eckler drop. I can recall at least 2 Hunter Henry drops. Keenan Allen may have had more drops in one game than I think I've seen him have in the last 2 years combined. I've seen Mike Williams drop. I mean, there were more drops in this game that I can remember in a single game for this Chargers team. And again, we find new ways to lose. It's been something we haven't had to worry about until now. Justin Herbert, I got to give the Bills credit. They rattled him a little bit, but he still played pretty well. He was a little off target at times, but for the most part, he was okay. The amount of times, and it's kind of funny because, people get on Gus Bradley for not blitzing. And then, okay, we'll blitz a bunch. Burned every time. We get burned by a screen. We get burned by trickery. Cole Beasley chucks it up. I mean, we were outcoached, outmanned, outclassed. And it's just sad, man. It's just sad. Maybe the question for you, Jake, devil's advocate for a sec. For those Anthony Lynn, Gus Bradley apologists out there, let's say it's not their fault. Just for a sec. If it's not them, then why is this team 3-8?
If it's not them, I'm sorry, but you can't come up with a feasible reason other than just realistic football, just unfortunate luck. We can't blame injuries. Enough with that. I'm sick of hearing that.
Look at San Francisco right now.
I understand that.
No, but they're looking pretty darn good.
Right. I got that.
Considered.
I got that. We shouldn't be complaining anything about injuries when the Cincinnati Bengals have a bone to pick with their front office for not protecting their quarterback who got sacked 32 times in 10 games and now is gone for 9 to 12 months. We have nothing to complain about. Rich Gannon said it best. This team is too talented to be 3-8. I feel like when Anthony Lynn coaches a game, it's literally like it's a whiteboard to him where it is to say, okay, well, this worked this week, but forget all of that next week. We're just going to try and run something completely different. And this is regardless of the opponent. I know you always have different game plans for everybody that you scout and that you watch film on and everything like that. I get it. But Anthony Lynn, to me, in a number of different scenarios, I think honestly just has lapses of what he actually has on his team. Dan, how many times have we talked about when something's working, you see it work for like 3 or 4 plays or a couple series, and then all of a sudden it just disappears. And whatever that is, whether the running game's being efficient, whether Justin Herbert is just going off at a clip, where did the term "let Herbert cook" come from? Why did that even come up? There was a reason why that started trending. Honestly, I think that Anthony Lynn truly does not know, or maybe he does know. Maybe he does know how talented this team is, and if that's the case, that's good. But you obviously don't know how to coach it on a consistent basis. You don't know how to go out and have your team prepared enough to execute in the way that garnishes their full potential.
Jake, we talked to Chris Harris last week, which is still crazy that we did that. And we asked him about, like, what does the team identity look like now, and has it changed throughout the season? Jake, if you gave the Chargers and their coaching staff, or fans for that matter, some truth serum, and you asked them, what is our team identity? What is our philosophy? Do you think anybody could give you an answer that's actually true? There isn't one.
There isn't one.
Because you look at
I
Anthony
haven't
Lynn.
seen
Anthony
one.
Lynn is the type of he wants to ground and pound. He wants to maintain possession. He wants to churn clock. He wants to bow up. He wants to run first. That is not what this roster is built for. Gus Bradley doesn't want to blitz to save his life. That's not what this roster is built for right now. It's disheartening and it's sad because I have liked Anthony Lynn and Gus Bradley for a long time. But this year has made it crystal clear to me that there's not much variance to their schemes and their styles. And the adaptation that comes with being a coach, it just hasn't been there. I'm sorry. But we can say they've been unhealthy. We could say they've been unlucky. We could say that COVID sucks, 2020, whatever. But everyone can say that. What is the difference between anyone else and this Chargers team? Like, I don't know what else there is to say, Jake. Like, we've gone through ad nauseum the issues of this coaching staff. We've gone through ad nauseum the issues with play calling, situational awareness, time management. I mean, you name it. We literally could just take last week, or 2 weeks ago, sub out Miami, put in Buffalo, call it a day. It'd be the same conversation.
It could actually be, it's probably worse. It's probably worse, honestly. Justin Herbert still was able to throw for 3 touchdowns in that game. At that point in time, we were saying that was his worst performance of the year. And even a lot of quarterbacks would have taken that. This performance against Buffalo was bringing them down, was bringing Justin Herbert back down to earth. Did he play absolutely god awful? No. But did he have a normal day by his standards for what he's done over the past several months? Yeah, he did.
He had a mid 2018-19 Phillip Rivers season type of day.
31 of 52, 316 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A QBR rating of 46.5.
Yeah, if you talk about floor and ceiling of what the Chargers fans have seen from
right, Chargers fans have been spoiled as it relates to Justin Herbert.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, I'll take that performance from Justin Herbert a hell of a lot more than I will take the performance of Cam Newton and what he did this past Sunday in somehow getting a win, completing 9 passes over the Arizona Cardinals.
Sidebar, Jake, I have him starting on my fantasy team, so
oh boy, you must be
lost.
Pissed right now.
Yep.
Anywho, here's maybe the stat that you need to know, and I heard this. I can't remember. I heard it this morning on ESPN, and I can't remember which analyst said it, and I apologize. But everybody would jump to say, if you were to say who is the worst head coach in the league right now, probably 90% of people would automatically say Adam Gase. No question. Right? Would you agree with that?
Prior to yesterday, yes.
And I would have said the exact same thing. The reason why Adam Gase is getting a pass is because Adam Gase is not coaching an 0-10 Jets team with the type of talent that the Los Angeles Chargers have. Unfortunately for Anthony Lynn, he is coaching a team with a number of talented players on it. And in their last 20 games, Anthony Lynn has only won one more game than Adam Gase. Think about that for a second.
Oof.
Even if you go from a transition of Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert, in the last 20 games, Anthony Lynn has only won one more game than Adam Gase and the New York Jets.
That's bad. That is bad.
Anthony Lynn is 0-9 in divisional games over the last year and a half. There is a very good chance that he could go 0 for 10. Or no, excuse me, what is it? Over 12.
Jake, do you remember when we were talking about this game and I was super confident that the Chargers were going to
listen to you, yes.
come through? And I said, but that being said, I will plan to claw my eyes out when I see yet another mobile quarterback get first down after first down after first down after first down.
In which case I hope that you went and saw your optometrist today.
I needed it. I'm actually wearing glasses currently because they hurt. For the love of God, I don't think it matters if we have a coach. Same results happen. Yeah, I get it. Josh Allen is a big quarterback. Cool. So was Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, mobile, big, elusive. 2 carries, -2 yards. Josh Allen, 9 carries, 32 yards. I believe it's 4 first downs and a touchdown with his legs.
If I didn't see the final score and someone told me Josh Allen was 18 of 24 for 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown. Okay, then I'd ask, well, what did the running game do for the Bills? Well, Devin Singletary, 11 carries, 82 yards. Zach Moss, 9 carries for 59 yards. Oh, okay, so they didn't have a running back with over 100 yards? No. Still had over 100 purpose yards, but that being said, it's like, okay, did anyone get any touchdowns? No. All right, well, what did Stephon Diggs do? 7 catches for 39 yards. Any touchdowns? No. If somebody would have told me that, I would have said, oh, then the Chargers won this game, right?
And then the Chargers get 3 turnovers on defense in the fourth quarter.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that's where I was leading. There were, I believe it was 4 turnovers total from both, 3 from the Bills, 1 from the Chargers. 4 total turnovers. I think it was in 7 or 8 plays?
7 plays.
It was literally a game of, hold my beer. No, you hold my beer. No, you're going to hold my beer. Just to see who's going to hold it. That's what that whole sequence felt like. It was literally like the Bills were giving the Chargers every opportunity to take the game over and win it. And the Chargers were just like that kid who goes to get on the ride and unfortunately isn't tall enough to get on. I don't understand it, Dan. I don't. And I'll tell you this. I know that you're not giving that much blame to Gus Bradley and the defense. Look, aside from Joey Bosa's performance, aside from the nice interception by Mike Davis, Chris Harris didn't have to do much because they weren't looking his direction. Aside from that, this defense was lucky to get 3 turnovers because on the 1 fumble, I believe it was Singletary that did it, that had a nice run up the left side before the ball came loose. Justin Herbert lost a fumble off the snap. That's 2 turnovers right there that shouldn't have happened when Buffalo had the ball in plus territory. Those were gifts. Other than that, this Bills team scored 14 points after netting only 20 yards and were gifted 66 yards in defensive penalties to set them up for points scored. So I put out the tweet early in the first half. Undisciplined football at its very finest. Yes, Anthony Lynn highlights. He's the headline of the bad coaching decisions that took place yesterday. But I'm sorry, I'm not absolving Gus Bradley from undisciplined football that was on display yesterday either.
Do I think Gus Bradley was great yesterday? No. Gus Bradley was not in the top 3 reasons why this team lost. And for that, that's why I'm like, okay, sure. Is there a little blame to go around for Gus Bradley? Maybe. But that's not changing how it would happen yesterday. That's not changing it. I mean, Jake, other than like that crazy 40-something yard throw that Josh Allen had because he caught us offsides and threw it up and Hail Mary goes to Gabriel Davis. Other than that, Jake, like Diggs 39 yards, take away that fluke play. Gabriel Davis had 30 yards. Cole Beasley 20 yards. Devin Singletary 20 yards. They did. I mean, Josh Allen had 150 yards total, and 50 of that came on that one fluke play. Like, the defense wasn't bad. The defense held the Bills to 27 points. And most of those points, some of them, were not even their fault. I know we're going to be talking more about coaching. We're talking more about situational play calls. I mean, we don't even need to get into all of it for this game. I mean, Jake, remember the 4th down play where it was 4th and 2? We thought we were going to go for it, and then we weren't going for it, and then we were, and we weren't, and then the coach. I mean, I'm over it. It's not even worth it to talk about right now. I don't think any listeners right now are wanting to hear us go into all the ways that yesterday sucked. But, Jake, we did have an opportunity for some of our listeners to give us a call and to voice some of their frustrations. And we are going to do our best, Jake, when we come back from the break, to console, to help, to heal, and to move forward. Because what else are we going to do?
I may need some of these people from the Chargers Brawl Hotline to console me instead.
Can we please have some folks call into the hotline and console us? Because we're people too, damn it. We're people too. Chargers Brawl Hotline. When we come back on the Chargers Brawl Podcast.
Easy coming, easy going. Talk too much, making me really wanna come through. Because I'm cooler than you are. Are you ashamed? What are we supposed to do without? Love is not a thing. I'm just here.
Welcome back to the Chargers Brawl Podcast. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the Brawl Network. Well, this should be a very, very, very interesting segment of the Chargers Brawl Hotline presented by Manscaped. Dan, we have spent the better part exercising our demons, expressing our anger. But as you said, it's no longer our turn to do it as much as we would like to continue doing it for the duration of this show. It's time to hand the reins over to somebody else. It's time to hand over the reins to our fans. Chargers Nation, let's hear from you. Dan, one more time, give them the number that they can call.
Chargers Brawl Hotline presented by Manscaped. 323-374-5651. Again, 323-374-5651. Jake, yesterday sucked. We got our feelings, our emotions aside. Damn it. Let's have some fun. Let's help him out, all right? Have fun, Jake.
I am on pins and needles.
Here we go. All right, so fun. We have 2 new callers today that have called into the Chargers Brawl Hotline. Always appreciate all of them that call in. First-time caller, Alex from Stockton, is a little confused and has some questions about our coaching staff.
All right.
All I want to know is, does Anthony Lynn play fantasy football in a 4-point passing touchdown, 6-point rushing touchdown league, and have Justin Herbert on his team, down by 5? What was that call to end the game? Trying to hurt your franchise quarterback? Get that out of here.
It sounds like Alex is insinuating, Alex from Stockton, that Anthony Lynn had Justin Herbert on his fantasy football team,
Mm-hmm.
and in his league, they may have gotten more points from rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns.
Got it.
And at the end of the game, that had to be the only reason why Justin Herbert is calling a quarterback sneak.
Well, Alex,
And then if you want to add on top of that, I'm pretty sure we saw a roughing the passer penalty against the Bills where Justin Herbert it did not look good to me. And you're putting your franchise quarterback at risk at the end of the game.
well, Alex, I don't believe that Anthony Lynn does fantasy football. I don't think he has any special scoring criteria. Maybe he had a prop bet. Maybe he had a prop bet on Justin Herbert getting a rushing touchdown. Maybe that is a much more likely possibility. Maybe that was it.
What else was there? What else could be the reason?
I don't know. Other than all the negative reasons that we've already talked about ad nauseum today on this show, we may have covered them all. In short, there's plenty of reasons why the Chargers lost the game 27-17, and I think that we've come pretty close to covering them all. Outside of a cosmic universe that just doesn't like the Chargers, the football gods be damned as it relates to this team, I don't know. But other than the ridiculous coaching decisions on a number of different occasions, I have no idea why Anthony Lynn decided to run that sort of a play.
I wish that maybe Anthony Lynn did have Justin Herbert on his fantasy team and just called the wrong play. Maybe he needed like a Nick Foles kind of receiving touchdown from Justin Herbert. That'd be nice. I'm down for that. Or like a Josh Allen kind of reception for a touchdown.
Okay, what about this? What if he was playing against Justin Herbert? What if he was playing against Justin Herbert, said, no, kid, don't do it. No. If you score one passing touchdown right now or one rushing touchdown, I'm going to lose. I need to make the playoffs.
It's over.
I need to make the playoffs. No, don't do it.
That makes sense.
Nothing makes sense as it relates to this performance. Nothing.
Sorry, Alex. I have a feeling you may have lost your fantasy football league this week. Better luck next week? ? I can't go any higher on my voice. All right, Jake. Moving on. We have a new caller. His name is Eddie from Dayton, Ohio. Let's just say Eddie's at a loss for words. Has lots of questions.
So I just got done watching the game, and oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get this straight. First off, Anthony Lynn needs to go. He has to go. Like there's no reason to keep him. Why are we keeping him? I don't understand how you, as Tom Cousins GM, how you can look at this game and say, "Oh yeah, I want him to lead this team next year." I mean, let's just go down the line. Clock management all throughout the game. just bad roster moves, bad play calling. Like, what is going on? Like, he needs to be fired. He has to be let go. And it's not cool for him to keep his job. I'm so frustrated. I'm trying not to curse right now. I can't believe, first off, great throw by Justin Herbert, fourth quarter. Throws a Hail Mary, and when he gets done throwing the Hail Mary, they run up and he runs a running play, which causes time off the clock. Why? I don't know. Literally every coach in the league robbed of that decision. That makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you run the ball when we're down 2 scores in less than 10 seconds on the clock? Why? And then he's trying to clear that sneak, which for whatever reason could get Justin Herbert injured on a meaningless play, completely pointless. And takes time off the clock instead of just throwing you to the end zone, giving us a chance to get even more points on the board. Then in the press conference, they ask Anthony Lynn, oh, well, why did you use those timeouts? He has no answer. He tries to make it sound like it didn't happen. And it's not possible. I'm at a loss for words. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, guys, for letting me call up then. I'm going to get off. Whew. Join us in the guys. Chargers Brawl. Thanks. Bye.
Does that make me crazy?
Eddie from Dayton. There's a saying that I have had on this show the last couple of weeks. What is it I say, Dan? Shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't play on Sundays. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. How could we? How should we? Why would we? None of that plays on Sundays. At least if it plays on Sundays, none of that translates to a winning formula.
Man, I really feel for Eddie. I feel like Eddie is kind of like my spirit animal today. He went through all of his emotions, all of his grieving process in like a 2-minute voicemail.
He was all over the place.
He was. And I mean, to be honest, if we're being frank, we have been too today.
Oh, yeah.
But I get it. At times, we're actually speechless. We have no way of explaining what the hell we just watched. And all we could do is laugh or cry and then laugh or drink and then laugh and then cry and then drink some more and then you sleep and then hopefully you forget about it the next day, but you don't because it's Chargers.
Look, in normal scenarios like this, look, are coaching blunders like this not normal in the NFL? No, they are. They happen. It's part of football. Anthony Lynn is not the only person to ever make this mistake. I'm currently watching the Seattle Seahawks against the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I bet you Pete Carroll wants one single play back in his career. There's one play that always haunts him, but that's one play. Normally you get these type of scenarios where it's one play, one coaching decision makes the difference.
It may be like one play per game, at worst.
Yeah, if that. Some other ones may go under the wayside. Maybe they weren't that instrumental in the final outcome of the game. Who knows? But Anthony Lynn literally pulled off about 4 mistakes in a single minute. 4 coaching mistakes that you could have conceivably said could have been spread out over 4 weeks. Anthony Lynn said, okay, as much of the coaching blunders that we have done this season, I'm just going to roll it all up into one.
Hold my beer.
Hold my shot. And I'm going to just blow your mind right now. And he did it. He did it in a meaningless scenario that was not going to decide a victory or get the Chargers back any closer to gaining any type of making that game closer against the Buffalo Bills. In a meaningless scenario, Anthony Lynn still managed to make himself look horrible.
And Jake, you know what the funniest part? And I'm saying funny in quotes because it's not really that funny, but I think Chargers fans at this point are kind of just immune to it and numb. Jake, were you surprised?
You know, I may have had a moment or two to where even after everything that I've witnessed this year and how everything that I have always said, until something changes, I'm going to continue to believe what I see. Even I had a moment where I said, are you kidding me? But then in retrospect, you look back at it and you say, I mean, you can't be surprised.
Right.
The only thing I'll be surprised about is if actually something ends up going right and we don't make mistakes. That is what I have now built up my immunity for. I am expecting mistakes to happen because for the better part of this season, they always have. So when something goes right and correct coaching decisions are made, give me a holler and I'll come over and take notice.
We'll be here. We'll be here. Jake, I literally just sat and watched the last few minutes of that game and just like jawed the floor, but not out of like surprise, but more out of just like, of course. And like, this is the perfect way to lose a Chargers game. And yeah, I feel just like Eddie. You're kind of at a loss for words. You try not to curse. You're trying to, do good deeds for people on a Sunday, but man, it didn't help when you're watching your team look that bad.
No, at this point, it's I don't know what else you could say. These last 5 weeks for this season they're going to be rough. I mentioned to you, Dan, that when we were making our final predictions for our final scores, I mentioned that the coaching scheme and Sean McDermott for this game against Buffalo was going to be huge. And it wasn't necessarily huge. Did Sean McDermott outcoach Anthony Lynn? Yeah. Sean McDermott didn't even have to do much, though. That's the crazy part, because the Chargers just essentially were beating themselves with some of these coaching moves. It was that bad. And now you get to welcome arguably the greatest coach of all time, a guy who has historically had your number. And I don't care if Cam Newton put up one of the worst stats in his career or for any quarterback of that matter in a win over Arizona this past week. I will not trust an Anthony Lynn-led coach team against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots.
Nope. And to be honest, I can't either. We're going to get into talking about that Patriots game. Jake, we have some fun things coming this week. I don't want to spoil surprises, but I think Chargers Brawl listeners might want to listen into the next episode.
Drop a little tease?
It might be good. Surf's up.
Shakas,
Mahalos, beer.
NFL Network.
Possibly. The Chargers.
To be continued. Well, as Dan just teased, yes, you definitely don't want to miss what we have coming up later for this week on the Chargers Brawl podcast. It's going to be a hell of a week, not just with today's show airing out our grievances, a little bit of surprise for Chargers fans, and of course we will have the full breakdown and preview of the Chargers matchup against the New England Patriots this week. So obviously, again, we want to thank everybody that has been supporting the show. It has been a long season for us all, and we have all been enduring it together. And you guys have definitely made this show grow. We say this on a weekly basis to you guys, but we wanted to just let you know how much we appreciate it. Continue following the show. You can, of course, listen to us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and, of course, Twitter at Chargers Brawl, myself at GT Hefner, and, of course, Dan Wolkenstein, the eternal optimist, at Chargers Homer. Thank you guys again for listening, and we will see you later on this week on the Chargers Brawl Podcast.
Singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the. Hey, you make me a believer, believer. Hey, you break me down, you build me up, believer, believer. Hey, let the bullets fly, let them rain. My life, my love, my drive, it came from.
All I want to know is, does Anthony Lynn play fantasy football in a 4-point passing touchdown, 6-point rushing touchdown league, and have Justin Herbert on his team, and was down by 1? Or down by 5? What was that call to end the game? Trying to hurt your franchise quarterback? Get that out of here.
So I just got done watching the game, and oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get this straight. First off, Anthony Lynn needs to go. He has to go. Like there's no reason to keep him. Why are we keeping him? I don't understand how you, as Tom Telesco as the GM, how you can look at this game and say, oh yeah, I want him to lead this team next year. I mean, let's just go down the line. Clock mismanagement all throughout the game. Clock mismanagement all throughout the game. It was just bad roster moves, bad play calling. Like, what is going on? Like, he needs to be fired. He has to be let go. And it's not cool for him to keep his job. I'm so frustrated. I'm trying not to curse right now. I can't believe, first off, Great throw by Justin Herbert, fourth quarter. Throws a Hail Mary, and when he gets done throwing the Hail Mary, they run up and he runs a running play, which causes time off the clock. Why? I don't know. Literally every coach in the league would just laugh at that decision. That makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you run the ball when we're down 2 scores in less than 10 seconds on the clock? Why? And then he tries to corner that sneak, which for whatever reason could get Justin Herbert injured on a meaningless play, completely pointless. And takes time off the clock instead of just throwing it to the end zone, giving us a chance to get even more points on the board. Then in the press conference, they ask Anthony Lynn, oh, well, why'd you use those timeouts? He has no answer. He tries to make it sound like it didn't happen. And it's not possible. I'm at a loss for words. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, guys, for letting me call out that. I'm going to get off. Whew. Enjoy listening to you guys. Chargers Brawl. Thanks. Bye.